Hey guys, welcome back to Malt Mondays. This week I'm looking at something special, the Hibiki 12-year-old. Now, this used to be pretty readily available, but once the Japanese whiskeys got so well known, partially thanks to Jim Murray and naming the Yamazaki Sherry Cask as the best whiskey in the world, they've disappeared completely off shelves. Now you're pretty much stuck with a few brands. You've got the EY Tradition, you have Nika Coffee Grain, and you have Suntory's Toki, and then you have the Hibiki Harmony, which was made to replace the 12-year-old. There's a few others floating out there, but many of them are exponentially more expensive than they originally were. For instance, the Yamazaki 12 now retails for about $120, $125, whereas it used to be $70. And it's also very difficult to find in most areas. Now, the Hibiki 12-year-old has all but completely disappeared off shelves. This is a blend of both the Yamazaki and Hakushu single malts, along with the grain whiskeys from the Chita distillery, all owned by Suntory. So there's 10 different whiskeys blended into this, and it's mostly malts. I think 6 of them are malts and 4 of them are grain whiskeys. But they're all produced by the same company, so there's definitely a high level of quality control going on there. And the Hibiki line is by no means a really cheap line of whiskeys. You know, it's still a very premium line. It's just their blends of their single malts. And some people actually prefer it over the single malt versions that Suntory creates. So, the first thing I want to look at is this beautiful package. Now, it also comes in this bright purple box that's really shiny, has nice gold lettering. Everything about the way you get this whiskey just seems high-end and really has an attention to detail that you don't get with most whiskeys. Even the label here is made out of this like special bamboo paper that looks and feels really nice. It's 43% ABV, so they're not cutting any corners there. And you've got this 24-sided bottle that works wonderfully as a decanter once you've finished your whiskey, that represents the 24 seasons of the Japanese calendar. So, as far as I know, the Suntory whiskeys are naturally colored. They don't say it anywhere on here, but I believe that they mostly are naturally colored, or there's a little bit of artificial coloring added. But if you look at this compared to, say, Johnny Walker 12-year-old, the Johnny Walker 12-year-old is going to be much, much darker, and I can almost guarantee it didn't use as good a quality casks as this did. Again, you've got this nice heavy glass cork on here. Everything about this just gives it a nice presentation and experience for drinking. But what really matters is how it tastes. So, if you're lucky enough to find this, I definitely recommend you pick it up because you may not have the chance, again, for several years at least, while their stocks replenish. I'm really hoping they bring this back and can keep it in stock, even in a limited stock. But as it stands right now, you're really looking at the Hibiki Harmony as your available option, which is a non-age statement that they made to replace this. And I will be reviewing that next week. But for now, we're going to look at the 12-year-old. So, on the nose, I love the smell of Hibiki. It doesn't smell like Scotch. It definitely smells like a Japanese whiskey. But what I really like about the Hibiki is because it's blended, it gives it a much more delicate aroma, and in some ways I would say more interesting aroma than the Yamazaki and Hakushu single malts that I've tried, because those seem much more one-dimensional to me. In this I get pineapple. I can smell some of the maltiness there. There's some plum that's coming out from the Mizunara casks. There's an interesting florality to it. I believe Hibiki calls it hibiscus, And I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's distinct enough to pick out that it's hibiscus, but maybe I don't know that well what hibiscus smells like. I get some honey, more like a honeydew, or not a honeydew, like a honeysuckle, that flower. And I can definitely smell that there's some grain whiskeys in there, a little bit of a grassy note in there, but not in a bad way, just in kind of an extra layer to the complexity. So right away, this is very impressive just on the nose. And we'll see how it tastes. So there's definitely a little bit of sherry cask influence. The flavor is just going in a bunch of different directions at once. I'm getting banana, like a creaminess to it, with a little bit of vanilla creaminess. Wow. Almost like a raspberry, actually, or some sort of red fruit, but not the red fruits that you normally get in sherried whiskeys. Not like a cherry, or it's actually like a little bit tart, like a raspberry almost. A little bit of that plum coming back. See, normally with the other Japanese whiskeys that I've had, there's a strong banana tropical overtone to it. But with this, I get more of a variety of fruits. I get, there's a little bit of pineapple, some raspberry, plum, a little bit of oak. It's really good. This is really good whiskey. Now, when I bought this retailed for $70. If you found this for $70 right now, I would give this like 94 points at $70. I think this is one of the best $70 whiskeys I've ever had. The problem is, the only time I've seen it since 2 years ago, it's been $150. And I would pay, honestly, to get another bottle of this, I would go up to $100, maybe even $110. But that's because the flavor profile that they've achieved here really is just like strikes it perfectly for me. This is what I want out of a Japanese whiskey. Now, and that may not be true for you. So if you haven't tried this before and you don't know that you absolutely love it, don't buy it at whatever the ridiculous aftermarket prices are, because objectively it's not really worth that. I would still pay $30 or so over that retail price, but only because I happen to like this specific whiskey quite a bit, and I'm afraid of never finding it again. I think relative to what whiskeys that now go for $70 bring to the table, I think this blows a lot of them away in terms of the complexity. Now, that may not be the flavor profile you're looking for, and that's completely up to you. But as far as a light-bodied whiskey that's got a lot of different fruits that are actually distinct enough to pick out, it's really quite an achievement in terms of blending. And I think it's by far one of the best blends I've tried, hands down. So if you don't care about it being single malt or blend, and you want to try a Japanese blend, get this Hibiki 12-year-old, if you can find it. You probably won't be able to, but don't pass up the chance. If you find it at a bar or a friend's house, definitely try it. I think you'll be quite impressed if you're willing to actually give it some time, and if you understand that it's not going to beat you over the head with flavor. This is something like a Glenmorangie that's quite delicate, quite light, and you really have to search for those flavors, but when you do, they're definitely there. So If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the Hibiki 12-year-old. And remember to come back next week because I'm going to be looking at the Hibiki Harmony, which has replaced this, and seeing if it's worthy at all as a successor to the Hibiki 12-year-old, and if it can really hold its own at a $70 price point. Thanks for watching.